Good morning. We
Morning, good
are
morning, good morning.
live. Good morning, fellas. Good morning, Marcus. Good morning, me, Sean. Good morning, Peter. How you guys doing today?
Great day in
Doing
the
well.
neighborhood.
Great
Doing
day
well. How
in
are
the
you this morning?
neighborhood. That is the melanated Mr. Rogers over there. There we go. All right.
Actually,
Well,
I've just
it is time to go ahead and get the show coagulating. You guys ready?
Yes.
Ready.
read.
All right, all right. Well, let's go, folks. It is the Truth Be Told show.
All right, cue the music.
Cue music.
Start the music.
Starting music.
And go.
It's the Truth Be Told show, where we place America first. Honoring those who America has forgotten. Listen in and unlearn to relearn. As we set the record straight. And now, your host of the Truth Be Told show, Mr. Just Ask Joe and Uncle Mishorn.
All right, all right. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Truth Be Told show. It is yours truly, Mr. Just Ask Joe. My brothers, other brothers from other mothers, folks. We all look differently, but we have the same father, the same other mothers, right? So shout out to you, Uncle Mishorn. Shout out
What's up?
Peter Hayes,
Joe?
Marcus Ray.
What's up? What's up, Marcus? What's up, Peter? How y'all doing?
Doing well. How are you?
Man, it's another great day. What kind of day is this, Joe?
Oh man,
What
this
day?
is Tuesday, May 24th, 2022. And the beautiful thing about this is that you will never get this Tuesday, May 24th, 2022 ever again, folks. So you better make today a great day because I tell you what, you just never know what tomorrow brings. I mean, right now we're looking at some of these current events, folks. We got national and international shootings, and you know we got Ukraine going off. I mean, this is kind of wild times right here. We got food shortages. You know, I mean, I couldn't get some oat milk for my substitute at Starbucks the other day, man. You know, they said it was a national shortage, so I couldn't get that. I said, wow, okay. But what y'all think about this stuff going on, man? We got these USA shootings. What was that? Is that the New York deal that we talking about most recently?
There's been those in New York, but there's been several smaller ones around the rest of the country where two or three people have been killed. But uh, as I said before, the leaders in this country haven't addressed it head on. They've kind of endorsed it, and I believe that's how we're getting this thing out of control. Is the leaders
Now, when
in
you say
Congress?
endorse it, you got to explain that one. What do you mean when you say endorse it?
Well, if you look at some of the leaders that get on the floor of the House and the Senate and talk about the Great Replacement theory and continually spout that rhetoric that there's a grand scheme to replace European Americans in this country with brown and black folks, then they send them off and on these wild rampages, thinking they're at war.
Well, so you know that's good right there. I'm curious
Oh
about that. We're
man,
such a fad nation that I mean, all of a sudden, this is the new term, the replacement theory. You know, I mean, we always come up with these new terminologies to talk about, and then all of a sudden it becomes a big thing in the news. Now, Peter, you being the spokesperson for all things white America or all things European America, with that in mind, then why aren't the people of Caucasoid persuasion humping enough? Why aren't you guys taking Hump Day Wednesday and going ahead and making more babies? What's going on?
Well, I think, first of all, greetings from sunny Tampa, Florida. Yes, I
Oh,
am.
awesome.
One of the hats that I wear is the global spokesperson for all white people, appointed by the United Nations. So I'm appropriately equipped to answer that question. Well, I mean, that's a big issue. You know, around the world, the industrialized countries, the birth rates are going down and down, and that's just the way it is. Where people get more money in their pockets and more advancement, they have less children. So that's
Is
happening.
it is that because they actually find more things to do other than hump all day?
Maybe so, or they just become more materialistic and don't want, the challenge of raising kids. I mean, also in agricultural countries, just like early America, we had big families because, you needed those kids to help on the farm and do the work.
Yeah.
And, population in Russia is going down, Japan, Korea, US, Europe. So, and then what happens is those other countries that have less economic
Yeah.
development and they have more and more children, and that's a
Well,
worldwide
well, well
phenomenon.
let's Peter, let's talk about here in America. Why aren't the people of Caucasoid persuasion here in this Western environment where you've got all type of stuff from rap music to country music and everything that talks about love and love making and all of that stuff? Well, why aren't people of Caucasoid persuasion humping enough to make more babies? I mean, what's going
Well,
on?
I mean, you're being facetious, but it's the whole population. America, it's all ethnicities. When they get more money in their pocket, they have less children, and so
But the
you,
rhetoric is that it's the people of Caucasoid persuasion that are talking this replacement theory because they're worried about. Well, I mean, it's only because black and brown have way more kids versus the non-melanated.
Let,
So why aren't y'all
can I
catching
jump
up?
in here?
well,
Let me
you know, I mean,
Here, go ahead,
hey,
me, Sean.
hey, let me
Jump in there and
yeah,
help the
let
help
me
help
jump in
the
because
Europeans
well, you
out.
didn't let me. You didn't let me answer the question.
Okay, here. All right, Peter. Go
go
ahead. Go ahead.
First of all, the issue that is coming up when the Democratic Party wants more voters, so they're bringing in illegal immigrants to the tune of 2 million a
Well,
year. And
Peter, that's not true. You say that like you're repeating a talking point. What makes you believe that those people coming in are going to vote Democrat? That's a
well,
Republican talking point that you're
Now,
repeating. You don't know who they're going
now,
to vote for. And so I
now
well,
look
would,
at this comment from the crowd. In advanced nations, children used to be the retirement plan, but when folks feel safe about their future, children become more of a distraction.
that's a
That
great.
goes to what you were saying there, Peter.
Yeah. As far as, I mean, I know the political Hispanics are about 65, 70% Democrat. African Americans are 95%. I'm a Democrat too, so uh, that's just the reality. And
but
the
it's a
Democrat,
false reality that you're propagating because you don't know how they're going to vote. If you look there at some of those other states, there are quite a few Latinos that vote Republican, and so
yeah, but it's
you're
70 to
falling into the
30. So
same
do the
trap.
math.
But you're repeating the same stuff that creates the problem to begin with. So I would prefer that you say they're coming and you don't know how they're going to vote, not repeat something that you have no idea of how that's going to be, because what you're saying is that because a person historically has done this, that's what they're going to do. But a lot of those Catholics that come from other countries, you don't know how they're going to vote.
I mean, but let's be honest. You can know about what's going to happen by looking at what has traditionally always happened, right? I mean,
I
that's
agree
kind
with
of some
that
common sense,
if
right?
they have voted before and then you have a record of how they voted. But you're talking somebody coming from another country and coming here and just saying, oh, they're going to vote that way because someone else that came from their country voted that way
so
that got here 10 years
Mark,
ago.
Which, yeah,
Mark,
let's let Uncle Michon jump in there.
Marcus, come on, man.
Well, I can barely
Who's
hear
the
you.
party?
I can barely hear
Yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah. Come on, man. Let's talk about the party that's actually taking down the walls and allowing the immigrants to come in. You think they letting them in to say, oh, you're going to support our government, and you're going to go to each party, and we want you to be able to vote the Republican Party. We want you to vote the Democrat. You think that the Democratic Party, who's allowing people to come into this country, is actually trying to get everybody to be able to vote Republican or
No,
be able to
but
switch?
what I
Well,
do
hold
think,
on. When y'all say that, is the Democratic? Where does the Protestant church lie? Because those are some of the big culprits in bringing in foreigners, especially here in Louisville. You got these Protestant churches, and they bring
Right.
them all in the same way, and then they pile them up in the Department of the Americas and off Preston and all of that. So they're all piled up in the same place.
And which
So it's
political
only kind of obvious that they're gonna do the same thing as everybody
and
else, right?
which political party is actually the orchestrator of trying to bring them in? Oh, come on, Marcus, man.
Well, at least the
No, see,
orchestrator of allowing it to be
Allowing
okay.
them to come in. Yeah, allowing them to come in.
so
And
you
so
don't. So
once they
when
get
Ronald
here,
Reagan wanted to fix immigration and allow immigration, that was the Republican Party. You see, the only thing that I do know is that President Trump said, if we allow them in, we'll never win another election. And it sounds like that's what's going. He just said it out loud. He just said out loud what everybody else thinks. And from what I hear from you, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter how they vote. You see, we don't talk about how those folks from the other countries are going to vote. Only the Latino and brown and skinned people. I don't hear anything about Bosnians or anybody coming from Europe or over there.
I
Talking
forgot
about how
about
they're going to
Boston.
impact elections.
but
Well,
we
We don't
are
talk about
talking
that at all.
but we are talking about the moment that they arrive in this country. Okay, there
We
is a
cannot hear you,
color
Miss Shawn.
construct. There's a color
It sounds
construct
loud and
in
clear.
this country. There's a color construct in this country. So most likely, okay, majority of people who wants to navigate towards the color construct that's going to benefit them, okay, they're going to move right into what's already in place, okay. Let's don't sit here and make it seem
Well,
like
that's mighty
people
presumptuous
don't
of you,
understand it.
though.
Huh?
Well,
I mean,
that's mighty
but I
presumptuous
mean,
of you.
we can agree that there's some type of I think that's kind of obvious. Most people do what their people do, and
Right,
especially when they're all corralled into the same area and they're
right,
all brought in the same way. If it
right,
was, I tell you what needs to be checked. What needs to be checked is at the ground level of immigration in each state. They need to check that because I've heard stories of people being told in immigration classes, oh, don't mess with these people over here. Don't mess with these kind of people because those kind of people aren't the people you want to associate with. Let people come in and figure out what they need to do for themselves because every American had to grow up and figure out what they needed to do for themselves just the same. But again, we do seemingly have a party that likes to reach and grab and corral people towards a particular direction versus a party that in a sense doesn't. I don't know. I mean, I'm that's just kind of what it looks like from the inside looking in, right? So I don't
Hey,
know how that works.
go
Now,
ahead, Peter.
when you look at this,
Peter got his
yeah,
hand
go ahead,
up.
Peter.
Well, one thing we need to differentiate between refugees, which, Joe, you're talking about Catholic services, Lutheran service, Jewish service brings to Louisville,
Gotcha.
legal immigrants like my wife from Japan or from Mexico, anywhere, and then illegal immigrants. So there's,
Exactly.
that's three groups of people.
Yeah,
Refugees, actually, you mentioned Protestant churches, mostly Catholic. Lutheran is the one. Lutheran World Services bring in lots of refugees, and then the Jewish
yeah.
community here in Louisville. So, it is those religious organizations, and they make money off it. They make a lot of money off it. To be honest, they get
How do they make money off of that? That's interesting.
they get for every refugee that they settle,
Oh, they
they
get
get
federal funding.
federal and state, federal funding,
Ah,
and they help.
Peter, I just got to ask, you left out one demographic of people that all three of those demographics you just announced There's one demographic of people that is on the what they call the underserved demographics in America. That those three you just announced come and move us and replacing us, and that is the American descendants of slaves. Now I know you're talking about people that's coming in, but I think when we're going to talk about people that's in this country, the ones who get hurt the most, okay, when other immigrants or illegal or whoever they are come in, it's our demographics of people because this country created us, developed it, but don't acknowledge us and do anything for us. But they'll be quick. It's one party quick to run out and find somebody else to do the work that we're starting to say we don't want, and we being replaced. Now, when I'm talking about being somebody replacing us, I'm thinking we're being placed as the demographics of people in this country because we're starting to see things differently and we're starting to come off the plantation of the Democratic Party. Now, let's talk about that.
Okay, if you want to switch from that discussion we were talking about.
No, we're not gonna have a everyday Facebook conversation. You know, as we're doing this and we look at, you know, foreigners coming in. I'll say this personally, I have no problem with anybody coming in and anybody, you know, doing, you know, what they need to do. If you feel as though the American dream is here, then come on and do it. You know, it's all good. And Ali, if you want to take that comment and post it in the comments section there versus the private chat, then that would be even better for us. But what Ali says is as bad as America looks in the eyes of some American people, America is still the hope of the world of freedom and democracy. America is going through rough times, fighting frontline problems such as race, gay marriage, abortion, pornography. And our biggest culprit that we're fighting right now is the he-she community. This doesn't mean America is evil. America is dealing with issues more than any other superpower nations. And I think that's because, again, America has taken its eye off the ball. You know, I mean, do y'all think that to be the case as we're talking about all this stuff? You know, America's taking its eye off the ball. Real quick before commercial, Marcus, you know, has America taken its eye off the ball with all this stuff going on that we're fighting?
Well, I don't think America's taking its eye off the ball. I mean, it's the American Constitution is a living document. And so things that applied in 1776 as people grow and change and become more knowledgeable might not necessarily apply. So I don't think we've taken our eye off the ball. I just think that as we grow and progress, that those things are going to change, and how we deal in getting to how we deal with those things is where this friction and turmoil comes from. If it weren't a living document, we'd still be slaves.
Okay. All right. I got you. Well
said, Mark. Yeah, that's a good point.
Absolutely. Well said. So I'll tell you what. Go ahead, Peter. Right before commercial. Go ahead.
Yeah, as we go into commercial, and Mark says, right, both parties like illegal immigration. The Democrats do it because they want voters. The Republicans and the Chamber of Commerce wants cheap labor.
Absolutely.
That's why it's never going to be. It's not going to be solved because if you have both parties, even though they use it as a wedge issue, the bottom line is both parties want illegal immigration for those two different reasons. The Democrats want more voters. Republicans want more cheap labor.
Well, there you have it, folks. Right wing, left wing, two wings of the same bird. We're going to come back. Uncle Michonne's going to speak up, but we're going to have our Ali Majoub here. He's going, you know, maybe he has some insight as to what's going on in the other countries. I was just thinking, you know, in the other countries, you know, like Peter said, you know, is, you know, guy looks over at his wife. What would you like to do today, baby? Oh, we can hump. And the wife is like, no, there's a new bar and restaurant that opened up down the street. We will go there and stay. Okay. Yes, we have money now. Yes. So I don't know. Maybe that's the case, but we'll see. We'll be right back here, folks, at the Truth Be Told show. Uncle Michonne, speak up, and then Ali Majoub with dreams, inner voices, and divine coincidences. Folks, We will be right back. It's Truth Be Told.
Thank you, Truth Be Told, for allowing God's Lives Matter to be a sponsor. Wearable products, as the purple t-shirt, is bearing witness. Every life created by God has infinite value. Visit God'sLivesMatter.com.
All right, folks. Again, we are coming back here. Before we bring up our next guest, Uncle Misho, I want to let you go ahead and jump in on that last comment, and then we'll bring up our next guest. Go ahead, shoot, bang, bang.
Hey, I appreciate it. I just want to ride off of what both Peter and Marcus said because they are both right. Both Democrats and Republicans have an agenda for the immigrations. Whether no matter who it is coming in, they both have an agenda. But remember, both parties also control control what we call the color construct that we have in this country. So when you think about that, they're interested in bringing in more people to fill in what we call the white class. So nobody want to talk about that, but I'm only going to speak about it as a bottom-up brother who's paying attention to what's constantly going on in this country. Unless we strike down color in this country, the people who are going to suffer the most in this country is the people who helped build this country, who have not benefited from this color construct, but have suffered the most. So I agree that both of y'all are right. But until this country be willing to strike down color, we're going to continue being suffering. And I got to think about what is right for us culturally before I think about anybody immigrant or anybody else coming into this country and take a lead before us. That's my 2 cents.
All right, folks. You've heard it right there from the bottom up. That's Uncle Meshorn. Hashtag Uncle Meshorn is always right. So with that in mind, folks, we are bringing up our other brother from another mother. Just an amazing spirit here. Love this guy. It's Ali Majub with Divine or Dreams, Inner Voices, and Divine Coincidences. As you see his awesome, amazing books here. I got 2 of them in my possession here, and we'll be talking about those just the same. Ali Majub, welcome to the Truth Be Told show once again for part 2 of Dreams, Inner Voices, and Divine Coincidences. How you doing there, brother?
Good morning, gentlemen. Thank you for bringing me to your show. I'm blessed to be here. And whatever you need from me, I will be, I'll try and explain it in the easiest way. How about that?
That is absolutely fantastic. Now, we had to intervene from part 2 because we had elections here in Kentucky, so we were dealing with that. But as we get back on track with this conversation, let's talk about you've got another book that you're going to be writing, all right, and you've already got a title for it and everything. I'd like to hear the name of that book and the inspiration behind it.
Well, the title of the book, I gave it a title, Prophecy Fulfilled.
Okay.
Now, when you talk about the last days and second coming, they're all together, all one. Second coming of Christ, last days, and even the concept of the rapture is involved in there. So there's a lot of confusion around this. There's a lot of misinterpretation of prophecies regarding the second coming of Christ and how will he come back and how people will know. And very clear in the Bible tell us that he's not going to give the news on CNN or Facebook or whatever. It's going to be so silent through dreams. So when the time comes for God to send the Lord of the second advent, he will give dreams to certain people whom he prepared.
But I thought Christ came already in 1942.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's in 19. Yeah, somewhere in the right after World
And
War.
I see you have a picture of him behind you. Is that autographed? An autographed picture of Christ behind you?
Yeah. Yeah.
I was just wondering, if he came in 1942, maybe that's an autographed picture,
Well, this is what my book is all about. It's basically God doesn't work in the abracadabra, suddenly, boom, there's the Messiah coming on a cloud. He doesn't. He never did that. God is a very strategic, very logical, very reasonable God. He created the whole universe based on his principle that even God himself cannot change. So the idea that Christ is born from of the Holy Spirit, maybe spiritually, yes, but physically he had a literal father. Okay? Christ is not coming on a cloud. It's very clear. The perfect example of that is this.
I thought clouds were how you travel in heaven. I mean, that's not.
Well, some Christians believe in a literal.
You're gonna blow some people's minds, So go ahead.
Okay, so my story, you really have to understand the biblical base for my story. My story is more about how God prepared me all the way from childhood until he led me and handed me in the hand of the unification missionaries. It's all planned, plotted, step by step, like it's amazing. It's like
got you.
Yeah.
And he didn't get an autograph to you, man. Man, you should have got that autograph in 1942. But listen, no, Uncle Michon has something he wants to jump in and speak about. Go ahead, Uncle Michon, take the stage.
Hey, listen, as much as I have studied the Unification Church, and I've actually got to meet Reverend Moon and understand the beauty about having multiple religious organizations, and all of them come from God, that I'm going to have to just speak on this conversation.
Hold on. You just said multiple religious organizations, and all of them come from God?
And that's the beauty. I'm going to tell you something, man. If we're going to believe that there is a God, and we are created in the image of our God, okay, then that means that each and every one of us get that image from our Father. So there's only one creator, and all of us are images of our Father. So everything that comes through man, God has inspired, he's given life to it, okay? So I'm going to say that there's a reason why we have all these religious organizations on earth, okay? There's a reason why. There is just not no one anymore. I think those times of believing that is just crazy. But this is what I want to answer you, sir. And it's not to push back on the unification, because I love the unification. I think it has merit. But how do you answer to people who say to you that we were born from a sinful blood, okay? And you're saying that there is a sinful blood born on this earth, okay, that what Jesus Christ is born from. What do you say to them to erase that before you can talk about all this other stuff? It's important. This is why I said Peter said what he said. That's good, but we have to talk about how do you address
and just for any of the listeners out there, what Michon is referring to. Peter spoke up and said that Jesus has a natural father, okay, and I think, are you speaking, Uncle Michon, to Ali, saying the same thing?
Yes, sir, I am. I'm saying that before you can tell me about moving forward, about your dreams, your vision, I need you to answer me or answer all the listeners, all these people that's been on this earth all this time, Christianity and everything. How do you just come on this air and just say that, hey, okay, Jesus had a natural father, okay? And so that just cancels out everything, okay, that we know that blood is sin and it comes from a sinful nature, okay? So how do you answer that, sir? I need to get an answer on that. How do you answer that?
I'd like to take a stab at that because,
Go ahead.
if you're talking about the biblical story, Adam and Eve were created in the image of God. They were sinless when they were created. So their original intention of lovemaking was pure, and there was no fallen blood lineage. When they fell, there was a fallen blood lineage. So the idea that, if Adam and Eve had had a child, they were the first Messiah or true parents on earth. If they had children, they would have bring forth sinless children, and God would have had children, grandchildren, great grandchildren. So you have to understand that, you know, religion's trying to look at lovemaking as evil from the get-go. No, it was created as a beautiful thing. It
Yes.
just got distorted. So when you restore that lovemaking and you purify the blood lineage, then you're back to the garden. You're back to square one. And that's why I talk about restoration. The Christian ideology is salvation, is that, well, Jesus did this, he died on the cross, and you believe in him, you have eternal life. I don't believe that's really very helpful because it's really restoration. Um, we need to restore ourselves back to that relationship that was lost in the beginning. So, if we, I think before we talk about anything, we understand restoration means to restore ourselves back to that original relationship with, and that's very important. If you don't understand that, it doesn't make sense because
Okay, Peter. Okay, Peter. So let me ask you something, because I am a person that has been able to overcome things not by just my physical, because you're talking about a physical evidence that Jesus was born from a physical manifestation. But I know that there's a spiritual as well. So I want to know: do you believe there's two uh, 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 entities? There is a physical and a spiritual. So everything you just said, you have gave lineage to the physical of this world. I'm
No,
speaking of a
I think
spiritual.
Which we understand the physical because there was a
Yeah, I
cross and there was
understand
some
the.
nails and
I
there was a vine on the
got the
head, right?
well, let me
yeah,
answer
yeah,
that.
yeah.
There's
Go ahead.
each person has a spiritual DNA and a physical DNA.
I
Okay,
believe that absolutely.
I believe that.
So, yeah, so that answers your question. There's a spiritual DNA and a physical DNA.
So why
You
could?
know,
So why?
when
Okay, now you agree. I agree with that. There is a physical DNA and
But
there is a spiritual
what
DNA.
Uncle Mishon is trying to say is how can you tell these people who have been just listening to this for so long, who
Right.
understand this religion for so long, that Jesus was born uh, into a natural sinful manner. Now, again, I think this is just something that explodes people's brains, and people, sit back with the explosion emoji
Don't.
all day long. Because when you really think about this, I mean, this is what we've known from birth for generations. It's the
Yeah.
same thought process where an Uncle Mishorn may try to ridicule a person for something they don't know when it comes
Right.
to using the term black or white, right? That's 402 years in America that this
Right.
term has been used. So you're not going to tear it down in just a moment. And
Exactly.
to tell a person in a moment's time that, hey, this is something that you need to stop doing, they're looking at you like, what? I don't even understand what that means. They can't fathom it. So it's the same thing here. People can't fathom
Exactly.
that ideology. But here's the thing: recognize and understand this, and this is something that everyone should be able to agree with. When Peter or Paul or whoever was writing letters to the Church of Corinth, did he know that those letters were going to be found later and put together in this Bible? No, we can agree to that. We know that he did not know that. He was just writing letters to the Church of Corinth. That's it, right? He was telling them that they shouldn't have a female bishop of a church. He was telling the women how they needed to be dressed. He was speaking to them. He was using his authority, and he was speaking to them specifically. Right. He was not talking to the masses. He didn't know what was happening outside of that little dot in Africa, right? So with that being said, the Bible is comprised of a bunch of literary workings, historical teachings and such, you know, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, right? We can kind of listen to and Jesus said and call that truth. But the reality is, outside of that, it's all just comprised of a bunch of stuff that was thrown together that someone decided to call a Bible. And then we all know the history of Constantine, 325 AD. He did not want the Christian God to compete with his pagan God. So he himself took the original Bible and smashed that all up. And now we get closer to what we have today. And then King James said, hey, I want a piece of this too. And then he jumped in and he changed some things as well. So, I mean, the reality is that when we talk about this, you've got to be open-minded enough to believe that if God set a principle that says that an egg and a sperm have to come together to create a human being, and that in order to legally come to this earth, it has to be done through birth, would God go against his own principles? Especially when we say that God is a God of principles. Would he go against his own principles? And that's kind of part of the question right there. And we'll ask Ali Majid that question as we come back from commercial, folks. Right here, it is the Truth Be Told show. Once again, we will see you right here, right shortly.
Habibi Trading Company, home of soap, sticks, and Saya Baba products. Over 400 locations at a store near you. Cincinnati, Ohio, Louisville and Lexington, Kentucky, Southern Indiana, or find yours online at sayababa.com. Again, that's sayababa.com. Habibi Trading Company, where you can find fragrances to incite your senses.
Thank you, Truth Be Told, for allowing God's Lives Matter to be a sponsor. Wearable products, as the purple t-shirt, is bearing witness. Every life created by God has infinite value. Visit God'sLivesMatter.com.
Hey folks, check out HealthDaddyWow.net. 100% plant-based herbs and supplements. Whether you're in person or online, use the word tipping for 10% off. Remember, feel better, look great, HealthDaddyWow.net. Remember, HealthDaddyWow.net.
All right, cue the music.
Cueing music.
Start the music.
Starting music.
And go.
It's the Truth Be Told show, where we place America first. Honoring those who America has forgotten. Listen in and unlearn to relearn. As we set the record straight. And now, your host of the Truth Be Told show, Mr. Just Ask Joe and Uncle Mishorn.
All right, folks. As we come back here to the Truth Be Told show, we're talking about, and it seems like these days we're getting back into that conversation of Jesus, Mary's baby daddy. Is is the reality there is what we're talking about
Yeah.
because
And,
but I mean,
the,
then again, I don't know because back then they said he was with her, then that meant they were married pretty much. That meant they had sex and they were married. And back then, if you had sex, then you were married. If we took that to today, then that means that there's a bunch of guys running around here with a whole lot of wives, and that would be kind
hey
of
Joe,
crazy if you had to pay child support on
hey
all of
Joe,
those. But go ahead.
hey Joe. I just want to say that I've worked in the European community for a very long time, and here's what I always have come to discover: anytime the dominant European culture changed the conversation, it seems every time when our demographics of people start coming into our own. And now I'm just gonna go here, man.
Uh
Every
oh.
time I see it, every time.
Uh oh.
Now
Peter,
all
get
of a
prepared.
sudden,
There we go.
every time, every time I've seen this, every time our demographic, especially our men, we start coming into our own. We start speaking up. We start being able to say some things. We start realizing, seeing some things, and all of a sudden, now here we go. We gonna kill the whole story of who Jesus is, so we can check and keep our demographics of people again. I want to ask Ali, have you ever seen the movie 12 Years a Slave with Solomon? It's a true story of a gentleman. He was free in New York, free, okay? And
So have you ever seen that movie, Ali?
Not yet, but I would definitely will check it out.
And
I
we're
want you
trying
to
to.
check it out because this is very
I,
important to this revolution. Please do check it out.
yes, I
Because
absolutely will.
Now don't go
Solomon
check
was
it out right
captured.
now.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
No,
no.
check it out right
Wait
now.
till after the
Well, let me
show.
give you this out. I'm gonna give it back to you. Solomon was captured he was stolen from his freedom. He was sold into slavery. The dominant European culture physically put him in slavery.
Back.
People were already slaves. Solomon constantly understood he was free. He fought against it. He fought against it. He fought against it. Then eventually he was broken. He was broken. And the very thing that he was looking upon those slaves and the conditions they were in, he found peace. He found hope because the songs of those slaves were singing was liberating. They were saying that you may steal my physical, you may steal everything from me, but my God is my God that comes from the spiritual. And he realized that he was able to lift himself up when he understand the songs of those spiritual songs from slaves.
Good stuff.
Then he
Good stuff. So I think Ali's gonna go ahead and take a look at that video at another time. So
Yes.
that'll help him out, and that'll be something good to watch. Now at this point, I kind of want to open up the lines and take a peek at some of these comments here. I just went and friended this guy right here. I keep meaning to do it, and I just went ahead and added him as a friend just now. I love his stance on a lot of things because I can look at people and see common sense, right? There's a level of common sense with a lot of people, and that's what happens when you look at people. But here's this parable of the blind wise men and the elephant. Each man touched a different part of the elephant: side wall, the side, the wall, leg, tree, trunk, snake, the ear, the fan, etc., and had a big fight over what an elephant is. Same with various religions and widely varied Christian sects. And that's something that's why I brought up, when Uncle Misho said that they're all from God. I don't think they were all from God. I don't think religion in and of itself was ever from God. you know, the actual formalities of religion, that I don't believe that that was ever of God. Same way that the Bible, in my belief, is not of God. With that in mind, if you think about that, I don't think that God would create that type of division. Would he allow it? Sure. But I don't think he would sit back and say, I'm going to put this out here so that these people can be divided and fight for 2,000 plus years over the same reason why I don't believe the Bible is of God. You know, Jesus left, said he was leaving the Holy Spirit, the Comforter, and it wasn't a Bible. So there's still people out there that believe he left and he was going to leave the Bible, and that was their comforter. That's ignoramus
It wasn't
thinking.
the Bible. It's not the Bible.
Psalm 51:17, and this is the ESV version. Again, I think the further you get away, outside of like the Message Bible, but the further you get away from KJV, then you know you're really getting into a world of nonsensical talks, because you start getting into words that are removed and all this stuff. But either way, the sacrifices of God are broken spirit, a broken and contrite heart, oh God, you will not despise. All right. Blood is shed to restore bodies from sin. A broken and contrite heart restores spirits.
There you go.
Jesus' Father was holy as he survived meeting an angel in the Holy of Holies. Right. All Israel knew this. Jesus' Father was holy as he survived meeting an angel in the Holy of Holies. Who are we talking about? We talking about Zechariah, or we talking about Joseph?
We're talking about Zechariah.
Zechariah. Yeah. All right. So for those that didn't catch the memo, then that is Mary's baby daddy, Zechariah, the priest. Back then, it would have been okay and lawful for him to just snatch up a woman and say, "Come here, girl."
No.
It's Hump Day Wednesday.
Joe, come on. He was the high priest, and he came from the lineage that the Messiah was promised to come through. So it was
so he smoked weed. He was the high priest.
Yeah, we got the high pope. We got the high priest and the popes too.
But he was
so that's what happened to them little boys in Catholic Church. I got you.
No, come on. Let's be serious. You guys aren't serious.
No, we are being
serious here.
No,
because
you talking about high priest.
Well, you guys aren't serious theologians. Let's be serious about this.
Zachariah, I'm not. I claim to not be a serious theologian by any means necessary. But go ahead, Peter. Go ahead.
Be a serious theologian as well. Okay, when you see what's going on in the Catholic faith, and we have the same thing. Oh, the high priest. You're gonna sit here and tell me, oh, just because he was the high priest, he was without sin. He had no sin possible.
Well, it was lawful for him to do. He can grab a woman and have sex with her, right, Peter? It was okay. It was lawful, right?
No, that was not lawful.
Okay, well, let Peter explain that. Let Peter explain that.
He had the power to do what he wanted.
No, he did not. I mean, come on, you guys are putting words into. You guys, first of all, I think to the audience, study divine principle for yourself. Take what you want. Understand the Bible. If you don't understand the Bible, it's just gibberish. You're just making your opinion. The idea that if you don't know what Adam and Eve were supposed to do, you don't understand the purpose of the Messiah. The first true parents on earth were Adam and Eve, and the Messiah came to be true parents. And so Jesus, Christianity claims he's the Messiah. He came to be true parents, which is restore his relationship with his creator and create a God-centered family. So that's why when you understand the purpose of the Messiah, Christianity changed the idea of the purpose of the Messiah, that he's the sacrificial lamb, came to die on the cross, and that he's the only person, he's God in the flesh. So that's why it is totally different.
All right, Peter. Peter. I'm gonna go with you on this. So because
hold on. Let's do this, because again, we're getting off track. Ali Majub is here, and we wanna talk about that. Obviously, we have a show. We have our next show, which is the Unification Ministries and Sun Moon. as well as continuing to explain this whole Mary's baby daddy thing. Now, I love what Ambrose Lee said. He said there was also a tradition of allowing a brother of a man who cannot have a child to produce a child for the brother.
Yeah, that's
That
the
was
Jewish
tradition.
Yep.
And you know, even to this day, there has been tradition of a man dying and his brother coming to take over that man's family, right? So this is not far off from this tradition of a brother of a man who can have a child to produce a child for the brother. You know, Joseph was barren, I presume. So obviously, you know, this is the result. You know, your brother has sex with your wife and has the baby for you.
I mean, Joseph was not Zachariah's brother.
So how in the world does this tradition play a part there? But again, we're getting off track. we're going to come back to that conversation, folks. We're going to do a whole show on that because it's still an interesting conversation. Nonetheless,
yeah.
Ali, I want to ask you this here. How did you specifically, as a Muslim man, meet Jesus? Was it through the Unification Ministries?
Oh my God, yes. If any Christian on the street before I met Unification Church would try to witness to me and say, "Hey, Christ is here, Jesus is Lord and died for you," I will push him away. But the amazing thing is the way the divine principle presented Jesus is not a usual story you hear by Christians. Christians believe that Jesus came all the way to die, and that is his mission, and he did it, and he died on a cross for your sin. Absolutely not. God did not prepare chosen people, for 4,000 years only to hand his son to kill him. This is really crazy thinking. God did all he can to prepare the people to receive his son, to accept him, to love him and follow him, not to kill him like a criminal. And this is the story that moved my heart so much that I cried for almost 3 weeks non-stop. Every time I think about Jesus, I cry my eyes out. This is the amazing story that Reverend Moon is bringing to the world, that Jesus was not sent to die on the cross. Jesus was sent to live on earth, have a family, build, and start God's new lineage from Jesus. And God had already prepared a restored Eve that's supposed to be his holy wife. And from there, they become true parents and produce beautiful new children. And humanity can be reborn again through Jesus and the thing. Right now, they say the Holy Jesus and the Holy Spirit is like our parents. But God really meant a physical wife on earth to give birth. And this is the story. This is the story that melted my heart. I mean, Muslims believe in Jesus as a prophet, and we have no issue with that. Jews still till today, they don't believe in Jesus, but Muslims believe in him. Muslims believe even in Jesus' return, second coming of Christ.
The Jewish community doesn't believe in Jesus?
Well,
the Jewish community doesn't believe in Jesus?
They don't. Till today.
Man.
Maybe more like 5% of the Jews believe in Jesus, but they all hated Jesus till today. And so this is the story that won my heart to the Unification Church, is the way how Jesus presented in the lecture and the divine principles called Mission of the Messiah. You guys, without understanding the divine principle, like you say, Joe, the Bible is made up of different stories mangled up together, and it has so much contradiction. The only way you could truly be moved in heart with the Bible is reading the divine principle. Divine principle is like an illustration of the Bible. Illustrates all the stories and show you example of what happened in here and there, stuff like that. So without reading, the divine principle is the heart and spirit and vision of the Bible.
So Ali, unrelated, you said something there a minute ago that just crossed my mind. Having both been a Muslim and now a Christian, what is it that causes Muslims to hate Christians so much, and this animosity between those two? And I'm asking, you may not know, but you said something that made me think of that.
Well, you look at the Crusades. This is the problem. It goes way back there. In the beginning, Islam was really open to all. They're open to Jews and Christian, and so, like any other religion, when you come up with a new truth, they attack you like everywhere, and that's the problem. Muslim had to fight for survival, and that's the problem. And the problem between the Christian and in Islam is very much like the talk about the Cain and Abel, or elder brother, younger brother, explained in the divine principle. There is a history of of struggle between elder brother and younger brother, and I believe Islam and Christianity have been fighting each other because they needed a new true parents. They needed a new truth to bring them together, and I believe divine principle is the way. And I think the Messiah,
So,
true parents are the way to bring
Ali,
all religion together. Yes.
so Ali, you know what the blood sacrifice is? You understand what the blood sacrifice is?
Yeah.
Okay. So explain the blood sacrifice when you say that we already know that innocent people or innocent people blood is shed. And so it's a custom to shed blood because it is a principle to God to take an innocent and shed its blood. It's a covenant that God creates. That was the very thing in the garden, the difference between the two brothers. Okay, the one brother did it in visitation, the other brother did it in a blood sacrifice. I've heard, and I want you to answer this from your understanding. The slaves that came to this country were innocent. They had done no wrong other than the color of their skin was made a slave. But based on the color of their skin, their innocence was stolen from them. And their blood was shed on the soil of America. America is a new country that was formed. And the blood of innocent demographics of people who had no sin, okay? They done no wrong. The offspring were born, done no wrong. Their
So they were
blood.
you said the African slaves were sinless?
I'm saying the slaves that were born on American soil in the condition of slavery, those children, we have a God that will never turn his back on innocent children. Children were born into slavery innocent. Their blood was shed for centuries in this country before 1776 came alive. I want you to explain to me the blood sacrifice. And you tell me the descendants of American slaves are not the new demographics of people who are being brought up. Explain the blood, the sacrifice of blood. Was there blood sacrifice? Explain the blood sacrifice, Ali.
Well, the earth is soaked with blood. The earth is
Yes,
soaked with blood. You look back at the world of religion, and the earth is trembling. I don't know how to explain this about black slavery. It's a painful
The
situation.
blood sacrifice.
I really believe the world is under slavery too, under Satan's slavery. I mean,
America.
The world, in America, everywhere, we all
I know what he's
human
talking
beings
about,
have
America.
been slaves since the fall of mankind.
Now we're
And I
talking
really
about
believe
America.
that, and of course, America is the spearing head of restoration. Everything that nasty, every nasty thing that happened in the world is expressed in America. That does not mean that America is bad. God is working. God is working on these issues through America.
We're getting somewhere. There we go. Go ahead.
To be resolved. Yeah.
Yes. Keep going.
So
I think you're getting somewhere there. That's exact. You are absolutely right. America was a country that was formed. You think about the history of America. America is the youngest country of all the other countries. We talking about the birth of Christ is in another country, okay? And another country, across in a continent, okay? But America was formed off the blood of innocent people who had done no wrong. Am I right?
Robert Moon sees America as the second Israel.
Am I right or wrong? Is the
second
slave,
Israel? Everything happening in America is happening in the world.
I need to ask you this question: was the slave?
You're making comments. Ask them a question. You're making comments.
But I'm asking a question. I'm asking a question.
Make it a question, and let's move on to other panelists.
Yeah. Was the slaves' blood in innocent children who were formed before America was born in 1776, were their innocent blood shed for the creating of America?
Think about that question there, Ali. All right, and ponder on it. And we're gonna go to commercial, and we'll be right back. And I'm gonna read a couple comments just the same, but keep that question in mind, and you can answer it when we come right back, folks. Once again, it is the Truth Be Told show.
Thank you, Truth Be Told, for allowing God's Lives Matter to be a sponsor. Wearable Products, as the purple t-shirt, is bearing witness. Every life created by God has infinite value. Visit God'sLivesMatter.com.
All right, cue the music.
Cue music.
Start the music.
Starting music.
And go.
It's the Truth Be Told show, where we place America first. Honoring those who America has forgotten. Listen in and unlearn to relearn. As we set the record straight. And now, your host of the Truth Be Told show, Mr. Just Ask Joe and Uncle Mishorn.
All right, folks. Again, we're talking dreams, divine principles. We're talking inner voices, divine coincidences. Folks, we have Ali Majoub, who is an author, speaker, just the same, and is a man who found Jesus as a Muslim. So, Ali Majoub, I want you to, if you can, think about that question and be ready to answer that Mishorn talked about. At the Last Supper, Jesus, as the highest of high priests, shared his shed blood, right? Already shed at that time, not later on a cross. Again, all these literary compilations put together in a book. And you know, somebody decided to create that order, right? He offered his blood then at the Last Supper. The cross was overkill, really. It was a way for Satan's world to say that it would not accept that sacrifice that Jesus already made. Now that throws a monkey wrench into everything, because Jesus supposedly had died on the cross, went down and tore the veil and went to hell and came back and and I mean, there was a whole lot that was done supposedly then, but we're saying here that the cross was overkill away for Satan's world. You know, my dad said that. He said, "What if the cross, as people wear it on their chest as a medallion or what have you, what if that is a symbol of Satan to
Paganism.
continue to say?"
Absolutely.
Yep.
Paganism. Absolutely.
Well, no, paganism, wearing the cross is not paganism. Paganism
No,
is
I'm just using
a total different thing.
yeah.
Paganism comes with some belief and such like that. Go ahead, Peter.
Yeah, I mean, we keep on going back and forth. That's why, if you don't understand the original purpose of man, you don't understand the Messiah, and you wouldn't understand the second coming of the Messiah. You wouldn't understand what we're supposed to do now. So the problem is most theology starts in the middle with their Messiah, their prophet. And one of my good friends, Archbishop George Augustus Stallings, who would be a phenomenal guest, he started the first African American Catholic Church because he was not happy what Rome was doing with African American Catholics in America. But he made a statement that spirituality comes from our Creator and religion comes from man. So that's
Exactly.
why religion divides man and is very divisive, these theological stuff,
Yep.
but
Another
spirituality,
layer of separation.
yeah, spirituality unites us under one family. And when we
So
promote
And,
spirituality, we're
so
now,
why
hold
y'all
on. When
been
I think about this,
so why y'all been holding
I
on to
think
this for
that's
so long, Peter? If this is supposed to be so the truth, why is this being so? Why y'all been holding?
well,
we
and let's get back to the question that Ali was asked, because I got a couple points here that I want to make with him before we head out. But with that being said, again, spirituality is quiet. Religion is noisy.
yeah,
Let's
exactly.
just think
Right.
about that for a second.
Absolutely.
And let's look at and let's invoke some common sense there. Which one do you think would make more sense in your growth, in your relationship to the Father? I think that quiet, that calm, that walking through the Garden of Eden, vocal conversation with God relationship that you have here is something of more value than this divisive religion that is being broken down here lately, folks. We're gonna get away from religion before the earth is destroyed once again. But Ali, with that being said, I want to kind of get back to this. Should we follow intuitions? That's a question for you. Should we follow intuitions?
Yes, intuition, but the inner voice that I'm talking about is a unique, special inner voice that comes in a particular special time. I'll give you an example. I mean, for instance, I published my book. I mean, I got my book being published by
Publish.
a company. Okay.
Hmm.
And the company called me and said, "Your book is ready. How many books do you want?" Uh, uh, and so I said, "Okay, maybe 500." And he asked me, "Okay, the moment you bring the day you bring the check to our office, your book will be delivered in 1 week." So excited with my first new book, I was excited, and I've got on my car and sped all the way to the office, and a voice spoke and said, "Hold, stop." A voice in my mind. It comes like a thought, but it's pretty loud voice. And he said, "Turn around, go back to Staples, buy a flash drive, and ask, and before you hand the check, ask the secretary to give you a copy of your book." I mean, who on earth will have this thought and did exactly? I literally did a U-turn, went to the Staples, bought a flash drive, and speed back to the office. And the secretary was waiting for me because I told her I'm on my way to give her the check. And I said, "Okay, you've seen me here almost every day." I was like working with in a publishing company. It happened to be only a few blocks away from where I work. And before I will give you the check, would you mind give me a copy of my book? And she said, no, Mr. Majub, I cannot do this because, the company doesn't allow me to do that. I said, well, you know me, I'm in office. It's my book. Why not? I'm sorry, I cannot give you the check until you give me a copy. And so she hesitantly took the flash drive from my hand and stick it in the computer and did it and handed me over. And guess what? 2 weeks later, the office was closed. Big sign says out of business. The next 2 weeks was on 6 News here in Indianapolis. Big noise about this publishing company who ripped up 35 authors from 5 different states.
Oh wow!
Some of the authors are Sherry Daniel, the governor's wife was writing.
Yeah.
And the one
so intuition helped to save to get you to have a copy of your book. So again, when we talk intuition, let's look at this simply by definition, right? Intuition is ultimately the ability to understand something immediately without the need for conscious reasoning, or another definition or similar definition, a thing that one knows or considers likely from instinctive feeling rather than conscious reasoning. Okay, so let's think about that for a second. So that's intuition right there in and of itself. Now, when we start talking about intuition and following intuition, it's that still voice, and I feel like you're talking, in a sense, because you have the voice of what they would say is the Holy Spirit, which I guess we can still say is the voice of God, right? Can we say that, Ali?
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
Yeah. So that intuition, that voice that you heard was the voice of God, right? So when you really look at this, you're talking spiritual revelation versus, let's say, organized religion.
Yeah.
Okay. So what would you speak to when you talk about that idea there? Because that was a spiritual revelation for you, and you acted on it before the actual revelation even came, which was, great for you, right? So in a sense, people should follow their intuition, but they've got to get the noise out of their head in order to
follow their hunch.
In order to even listen and hear that intuition. You got to get the noise out of your head, which again, religion, noisy, spirituality,
right,
quiet. So you got to be able to I think if people just wake up in the morning, sometimes just sit still for a good 5 minutes and just listen and think, sometimes that can help clear that noise out of your head. But again, you've got to open your eyes and start looking at the divisiveness of organized religion. So what would you say to spiritual revelation versus organized religion? Which side are you on?
Well, any organization, you have to have an organization. So this idea of organized religion. Every religion is organized. Show me any religion that is not organized. If there's no organization, there's nothing.
The Unification Ministry.
Yeah. Well,
oh, never mind. I'm sorry. I said that out loud. I apologize. There's a lot of believers out there, and that's another conversation we're gonna have to have, because there's a lot of people that say, Reverend Sung Moon just wanted to have sex with a bunch of women and make money. And I know that the Moonies out there do not like to hear that. And
you
I get it.
To one of the best Moonies right here, like you.
I see that. We're gonna have that conversation.
By the way, the term Moonies is very derogatory.
Yeah, that's what I'm about to say. The term Mooney is
might
a
as well call black
derogatory.
people niggers in that case.
Hey, you're looking at
but that's not a people that is defined by any stature of anything. You know what I mean? There's no governmental paperwork that defines. You're talking a big difference when you say African Americans that are defined by governmental documents, by their nation and stuff like that, and they call them niggers.
Yeah,
but I get it. I do get it. I get it.
Yeah, I think part of it is that people are afraid of truth, are afraid of their religion, to lose their religion. That's why they're so coward and not having the guts to believe in themselves and look into the truth. That's the problem. And so when people don't understand a new truth, they kind of lump them into bad names like brainwashing and all kind of stupid stuff. But when you look at my story and how I was led to the Unification Church, I could say you would be dumb to really not see the message. It's clear. God is involved in my life from beginning to the end, even to the point when he handed me to the Unification Movement, was a miracle in itself. You know,
All right,
this-
Ali, Ali,
that's a soundbite right there. I can tell you what, our video guy is going to edit that one. I can tell you for sure.
yeah, that is a good sound.
But with that in mind, you know, as we talk about
this is
that,
what
I mean,
the truth
you know,
be told, man.
absolutely.
You got to say what you say, what you need to say. Like Joe, he says whatever he wants to say.
There we go.
Hey,
Absolutely.
Ali,
Otherwise,
the
this
thing
is,
that you
we
have
should rename it the half truth. You guys seem to want to be the half truth be told.
No, man, we want to bring it all out. We want to bring it all out. Go ahead, Uncle Michon. Go ahead, Uncle Michon.
How precious you are for God. Your radio show is one of God's most treasure, you know, because you're exposing the truth.
Absolutely.
You know
That's
what I
what we
mean?
do here at the Truth Be Told show.
Yeah.
So Ali, I want to congratulate you. I want to congratulate you.
Thank you, brother.
I want to
Michon.
congratulate you for taking your visions and your things and put it into a book and making it known to everyone. You have done what most people have not done. I'm also writing a book. I'm trying to accomplish and do some things of that same nature. So everything that I've just heard you say is I call it Epiphany. My birthday is January 6th, based on Epiphany. So I congratulate you for what you have accomplished, and for that reason, I have to honor what you're saying, because when you believe that it's coming from God, no one else can take that from you. No one.
God work with a burning passion. Joe has a burning passion to do a radio show talk. Uncle Michon has a passion. Marcus has a passion. We all have a passion. And God feeds on that. God work on that. As long as it will serve him, he will help you, guide you all the way. So hold on to your passion. Keep on working on it.
Absolutely. Uncle Michon has a passion to talk, period. You know, it doesn't matter if it's on a show or anything. If you paid him to talk, and he would quit everything else and just talk and talk and talk and talk. Now, Marcus, you know, closing remarks here as we move on. You know, what's your thoughts?
Well, I'm always thinking about what's right for us. And as we go through this conversation today, I think we have to take a hard look at the church and understand what role it plays in our religion and how those two come together. Oftentimes.
Now hold on. Now, do you mean in our religion or in our spirituality?
Well, in our spirituality, the church, and I have this thing that happens. I have a conversation all the time. It says, no one can stand for me when it comes down for my judgment. And so therefore I don't follow preachers that way, because at the end of the day, I have to stand for everything I've done myself. And I think that's part of the conversation that I think we miss in religion, is that no one can answer for me but me. And a lot of times we ask the preacher to do those things for us, or the priest, whomever. And so I think we just have to take another look at what that really means individually.
Absolutely. So that denotes the idea of people coming to church and just listening to a feel-good message and going home and being heathens, versus actually taking what's right for them out of that message and putting it into action. If in fact you have a preacher that is teaching, you know, in that manner, you know, versus just a feel good message, you know. Well, but with that being said, you know, as we move along with closing remarks, Better Days with Peter Hayes, you know, what's your thoughts as you talk about what is right for us?
Yeah, I echo what Marcus said. I think that's what we're trying to say is that, you know, we're created in the image and likeness of God. And so it's up to us to have our own relationship with our Creator. And, you know, we don't need a middleman. As I said before, you know, I like to buy directly from the manufacturer. I have the
Mm,
same ability that
mm,
Jesus or Reverend Moon
I
or
like
Billy
that.
Graham or any of these religious leaders have to talk to the Creator and live life. You know, I have that same ability. So I walk in that authority as a tribal messiah, a global tribal messiah. And so, you know, I don't need a middleman. Other people do. They need babysitters and housekeepers. I don't need it. I go directly to the manufacturer. And I think that's a mature level of spirituality and not religion. Religion
Amen.
puts religion puts you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to believe in this Messiah, this prophet. You know, you can't go directly to the Creator, and I just don't understand that. I think that's a bunch of hogwash.
Gotcha, gotcha. That's amazing. You mentioned Billy Graham and Reverend Moon all in
Well,
one sentence
and
there.
here's the thing with these religious leaders, they do it for a fee. That's important. You know, they want their 10%. You know, so they, you know, all the religious and you know they have they you know when I share knowledge with people, I don't ask people for any money because it's just knowledge that I've come to me, whether it's knowledge, you know. But when you ask, when people are charging a fee, you got to be a little bit skeptical of that.
Hey, you know, that's another conversation right
Because
there, man. Billy Graham,
a fee is a
I got
business.
417
one.
crusades in 185 countries. That's
I
amazing.
got
Now,
one.
Ali, as we do closing remarks here, you know, I want to give you a chance to speak up here. But
Okay.
first, before you speak up, I do want to get Uncle Mishorn's closing remarks before we go. Uncle Mishorn.
Hey, thank you for Ali for being here. I want to just acknowledge that Marcus, regardless of what you say, this is the Focus Show. We started this conversation like this, Peter. We started this conversation like this before, where multiple men, specifically men, would come together and have dialogue. Okay, and what was the bottom line? Follow one course until successful. That's the acronym for Focus. Follow a one course until successful. So I just want to thank you all for the opportunity of the focus of this Truth Be Told show. I think that this is exactly what this show was meant to be. It's not about us in agreement and everything. It's about men coming together and having a dialogue, and we find God in the middle of that. God is in the middle of all this and everything, and so God gets all the glory. So thank you all. I appreciate
Amen.
you all, Lee, and I
Thank you.
look forward to us continue doing this moving forward.
And I love what Sharam Sadai uh, says here. Revelations, intuitions comes from inside of me, and beliefs comes from outside of us. Yes,
Hmm.
I like that. I like that. So with that in mind, Ali, I'd love for you to go ahead and give us your closing remarks here. Got just a couple minutes, but if you can trim it real quick to a good 30 seconds or so. Give us a closing remarks there, brother.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I really like to call your show breaking news show, religious breaking news.
That's what it's
That's what
become
I
over
want
the
to
last
breaking
few
news.
weeks
You
or
know,
so.
CNN is so famous for breaking news. This show is breaking news of religious thing. I'll tell you, we talked about Billy Graham. Billy Graham is actually the second coming of Elijah, the second coming of John the Baptist. His mission is unbelievable. And in my book, I wrote extensively about John, about Billy Graham as the second coming of John the Baptist, or second coming of Elijah. It's similar because 2,000 years ago, Jesus says, Elijah, John the Baptist is Elijah. And this because he said that people refuse to listen to him because they think he's a liar. He's saying that John the Baptist is Elijah so that he can claim the position of a Messiah. This is why the Jewish people refused to accept Jesus, because of that, because the Jews were prepared to waiting for the Elijah to come first before the Messiah comes. And of course, Jesus says John the Baptist was the Elijah. So today, the same thing, Christianity, waiting for Jesus to come on a cloud. But we have to, Christianity have to learn a lesson from the Jewish people 2,000 years ago, that second coming is not coming the way they expect him to come, but he came in a new person and a new born in the flesh. So that's what I want. Please read my book. I have all these topics in my books. So if those interested,
tell us the name of your books and how we can get them.
Okay, it's my book is on Honor Thy God. It's on my website, honorthygod.com.
So you got Honor Thy God, you got Chosen, and you got Jerusalem Appointment with Destiny. Folks, remember, honorthygod.com. You can go and check those books out, order them up. You can't order more than 1 million copies.
Oh, please order as many as you want.
If you order 999,000, it's okay. But once you order 1 million,
I'm promising 25% to this exciting, amazing radio show.
Okay.
Oh, there you go, folks. There you have it. Go ahead and check out, again, honorthygod.com. As you see right there on the screen, go up and buy 999,000 copies of his books there. Folks, when we look at the Truth Be Told show, you look at everything that's going on this day and age. This show is something that helps to tear down the quiet walls of religion. There's a necessity to have this conversation. It absolutely is. We're not here going against God. Somebody said that before on the show. If you're even asking these questions or opening this stuff, you're doing the work of the devil. That is false, and it begs the question of a person's own sanity when they have an inability to just be open to conversation. All right. And that's what we're doing here. We're just talking about being open to conversation. You talk about the 30 years war between the Protestants and the Catholics that resulted in more deaths than any conflict in European history up to the Balkan Wars in the early 20th century. Folks, we've been fighting and fighting. Religion just brings more fighting because it's another layer of separation.
Yes.
Try humanity. All right. When you throw black and white on there, it's another layer of separation. Yes. When you throw male, female, I don't mind that degree of separation because I'm not sitting down when I pee at all. But with that in mind, folks, we've got to get away from these layers of separation. And that is our issue here in this country, is we're too separated when it comes to different things. And it's all because of like it was said before, and I love this comment. Revelations and intuition comes from inside, whereas beliefs come from outside. So you think you don't like a person, it's because of what you believe they are or aren't.
Yep.
It's a belief. All right. It's something that you learn. So think about that as you go on your day, folks. It is once again the Truth Be Told show. We will see you same time, same place. Remember, truthbetold.com. That's truth with a T, TRUTHE, be told.com. Check us out. Hit the button there so you can donate. Again, we don't take donations over $2 million. So, we're capped at $2 million. All right. So we need you to donate anything under $2 million. And that can be $1,999,000.99. All right. But you can't hit the 2 million button because, again, the feds will get us. But with that in mind, folks, next week, same place, same time. Guys, it's been great. Hey, Ali, appreciate you for coming to the show. Love you guys. We will see you once again next week on the Truth Be Told show.
Good day.
All right, cue the music.
Cue music.
Start the music.
Starting music.
And go.
It's the Truth Be Told show, where we place America first, honoring those who America has forgotten. Listen in and unlearn to relearn as we set the record straight. And now, your host of the Truth Be Told show, Mr. Just Ask Joe and Uncle Nishorn.